there wasn't a day where you would go out and play, like, I don't know, Draymond, for example, and then having to listen to his explanation on the game, other games, his personal life, his opinion on things. It's just, to me, it's too much access. And the allure and the respect that I would have for Draymond as the athlete, because I would solely be concerned about his on-the-court performance, I now have this convoluted perspective of him because I'm constantly hearing him give his opinion on things that I really just don't even need to know. Draymond talking about $50 dates, or Paul Pierce, for example, talking about women every other week. It really honestly grinds my gears. You guys can't change the trajectory of my life regardless of what you think of me. However, I'm sensitive. I am triggered.
I don't think you need to respond to everything.
Yeah.
Everything doesn't need an explanation.
Yeah.
Like,
because it'll just blow over.
100%. It'll be over within a week.
That's my fear too, is like when I address things, instead of me ever talking about like lived experience, people think that it's just me constantly trying to rehash bullshit. When in reality, it's like, I don't know, I'm just a human who wants to talk about my life.
The drama's boiling over, and this time, it's Kayla Nicole setting the stage on fire. Travis Kelce's ex has never been shy, but what she's dropping now feels way heavier than the casual shade she's thrown before. The timing? Absolutely wild. Travis just put a ring on Taylor Swift's finger, and the internet's still spinning from the engagement news. But right as fans were swooning over their fairy tale moment, Kayla stepped in with energy that made people wonder, has she been biting her tongue for years? Let's not forget, Kayla and Travis weren't just a fling, as they had history. 5 years of love, breakups, reconciliations, and everything in between. Starting in 2017 and finally ending in May 2022, their roller coaster romance had fans invested like it was their own soap opera. And Kayla wasn't some low-key girlfriend hiding in the shadows either. She was right there in the spotlight, showing up at games, posting glamorous clips on social media, and giving the world tiny peeks into life with one of the NFL's biggest stars. But even when things looked picture perfect, you could see the cracks starting to spread. Kayla Nicole didn't just vent, she went straight for the jugular on her podcast, The Pre-Game. What sounded at first like a casual chat quickly spiraled into revelations that hinted the breakup wasn't about bad timing or some cute lifestyle mismatch. According to her, it came down to something deeper. Core values, non-negotiable standards, the kind of stuff that makes or breaks a relationship. And trust, she made it clear she wasn't willing to bend. But here's where it got messy. Kayla started calling out a trend that she says rubs her the wrong way. NFL players hopping on podcasts right after games, dropping their hot takes like the world needs a TED Talk every Sunday night. She didn't put a name on it, but come on. Everybody listening knew who she was side-eyeing, Travis Kelce. Kayla's words cut sharper than they seemed on the surface. She laughed it off, saying, "Nobody asked for your opinion after the game." But the shade was unmistakable. It wasn't just about Travis running his mouth. It was about him blurring the lines between the field, the brand, and his personal life. And once he started serving opinions like a talk show host, every sentence became ammo for fans, critics, and yes, his exes. Her tone was sly, almost playful, but make no mistake, every listener heard the sting. Kayla wasn't just giving commentary, she was firing subtle shots, daring people to connect the dots. Kayla didn't just call the whole NFL player podcast wave weird, she flat out branded it as performative. And when you peel back the layers, it's obvious she wasn't talking about players in general. She was pointing that spotlight right back on Travis Kelce. This wasn't just shade at the podcast trend, it was a critique of him, his carefully polished public persona, and maybe even how he played the role of perfect boyfriend, while the cracks in their relationship were showing behind closed doors. But the story doesn't stop there. Right before that podcast episode dropped, whispers started swirling. Kayla Nicole allegedly sent Travis a congratulatory text after the engagement news broke with Taylor Swift. A short, respectful message. Maybe it came from grace, maybe from unfinished feelings, but either way, insiders claim the text was left unread. No response. Nothing. Just silence. Now think about that. The man who once shared 5 years of his life with her couldn't even type back a thank you? And then, right after, Kayla pops up on the mic with these cryptic shots about athletes oversharing. That's no random timing, that's precision. Her commentary, laced with this ignored text rumor, paints a picture that's bigger than just podcast beef. It suggests she's juggling a mix of closure, frustration, and maybe even a little unfinished business, all while reminding the world that she sees the contradictions in how Travis moves. Kayla's message between the lines: I've moved on, but don't think for a second I didn't notice the games being played. Kayla Nicole isn't just spilling tea. She's laying out a whole philosophy on love and commitment. On her podcast, she doubled down on what she believes makes or breaks a relationship and trust. It's not surface level stuff. She made it crystal clear: masculinity, initiative, and stability are non-negotiables. According to Kayla, she wants a man who leads with confidence, not just in words, but in action, proposals, long-term planning, taking charge in life decisions. She expects a man to step up and show he's got ambition. No passive vibes allowed.
And so when I see people proposing to men, and it's kind of challenging the status quo of what a woman is intended to do with a man, I don't see anything wrong with it. Necessarily, do I want to do that? Can I imagine myself getting down on one knee?
Yeah.
Not quite so. Like, I want a man that's going to lead. I want a man that takes charge. And for me, it feels a little emasculating to ask my man to marry me instead of the other way around.
When it comes to money, she's just as upfront. Financial stability isn't about gold digging for her. It's about security, confidence, and a partner proving he's serious about building a future together. In her world, money equals preparation, and preparation equals commitment. But it doesn't stop at dollars. Kayla stressed that marriage takes mental and emotional readiness too. If a man isn't built for the weight of commitment, she's not about to lower her standards to carry him. She said it with conviction: settling is not an option. And here's where things get messy. Fans couldn't help but connect the dots. These comments weren't just broad relationship talk. They sounded like a pointed critique of her ex, Travis Kelce. Sure, he's been shining in the spotlight, dripping charm and success, but in Kayla's eyes, there are gaps in how he approaches real responsibility. And with his engagement to Taylor Swift stealing headlines, her words hit even harder. Almost like she's saying, good luck, but I know the truth. And maybe, just maybe, Kayla's not the only one thinking this way. Here's the real twist. Even after all the history, all the breakups, all the shade, she allegedly reached out to Travis with a simple congratulatory message on his engagement to Taylor Swift. Classy, respectful, even graceful. But guess what? He didn't respond. Not a word. Not even a courtesy reply. And then, as if on cue, Kayla jumps on her podcast and starts peeling back the curtain on celebrity romances. She didn't just speak on her own heartbreak. She spoke on the entire culture of flashy engagements and Instagram perfect love stories that hide what's really going on behind the scenes. The implication was loud and clear. What the public sees is rarely the full story. From a deeper lens, this was more than gossip. It was strategy. Kayla wasn't just talking about Travis. She was making a broader point about perception versus reality, reminding everyone that even the shiniest power couples have cracks nobody notices until it's too late. And while she didn't call names, the timing was enough to make fans connect the dots instantly. Every line she delivered, from her stance on podcasts to her standards on masculinity and financial security, tied back to her values, her rules, her philosophy. Meanwhile, Travis might be the king of the field, but Kayla's subtle critique leaves people questioning if he's really the king when it comes to serious commitment. That so-called congratulatory message, don't get it twisted. It wasn't just polite manners. It was a calculated move. On one hand, it screamed civility, like she was taking the high road. But on the other, it whispered of unfinished emotions, all while proving she knows exactly how the game of public optics is played. And even though Kayla tossed in references to other players during her commentary, everyone could see it. The real target was Travis Kelce. The pattern is way too obvious to brush off. This isn't just messy celebrity tea. It's a full-on study in personality, public image, and the messy mechanics of relationships under a spotlight. Kayla's angle is what makes it hit harder. She isn't ranting, she isn't dragging, she's observing with precision, almost dissecting the culture of fame and love in real time. And that calm, calculated delivery makes the shades sting even more. When both halves of a couple are household names, the stakes double. Kayla's perspective forces fans to ask uncomfortable questions. What does it really mean when someone like Travis is out here doing post-game monologues while still active on the field? How much space should an ex have to weigh in? And what hidden standards do women like Kayla expect these so-called superstars to live up to? Her message is subtle but deadly. Even the brightest names in sports can stumble when it comes to real relationships, and Kayla's making sure we all see it. Nothing about this story is simple. Kayla Nicole's chapter with Travis Kelce is the perfect clash of expectation versus reality, public image versus private truth, and self-worth versus the glitter of celebrity life. She isn't moving like someone bitter or forgotten. She's moving like a woman with clarity, control, and a voice that refuses to be silenced. Kayla's stance is bold. Fame, charm, even an NFL jersey number don't mean a thing if they're not backed by real standards, accountability, and growth. She's drawing the line in neon. Either a man steps up fully prepared for commitment or he doesn't step to her at all. That confidence, that refusal to compromise, it's why her words are shaking the culture right now. And for fans who live for the shade, the whispers, and the unfiltered truth, trust, this is only the start. The drama's just heating up, the shots are getting sharper, and Kayla Nicole is proving that sometimes the ex speaks louder than the superstar still on the field. But here's the real twist. Kayla's story isn't fading into the background. It's turning into the headline. Every subtle jab, every podcast revelation, every rumor about ignored texts has built a picture that fans can't stop dissecting. And the timing couldn't be juicier. With Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift painted as America's new golden couple, Kayla Nicole is standing firm as the unexpected voice cutting through the fairy tale. She's showing the world that behind the glitz of stadium lights and chart-topping fame, there's still real emotion, pride, and lessons learned the hard way. And whether people agree with her or not, Kayla's refusal to sugarcoat her truth is forcing the public to question what they really know about these headline-making relationships. It's the contrast that makes this saga sting. Travis flashing his charm, Taylor glowing in her superstar spotlight, while Kayla calmly flips the script, pulling focus to values, accountability, and the kind of honesty no PR team can spin. Fans are already split. Some say she's salty, others call her a queen for speaking her truth. But one thing is undeniable. Kayla Nicole has turned her pain into power, and her voice is echoing louder than anyone expected. And if this is where she's starting, imagine what comes next. At the end of the day, this isn't just a love triangle or a messy breakup. It's a spotlight on how fame twists reality, how private wounds get turned into public entertainment, and how one woman refuses to let her voice be silenced. Kayla Nicole has taken the role of the ex and flipped it into something bigger, a narrative of self-worth, standards, and hard truths that no engagement ring can overshadow. Travis Kelce may have the Super Bowl rings, Taylor Swift may have the stadium tours, but Kayla, she's got the power of perspective, the kind that makes people stop scrolling and think twice about what really goes down behind celebrity smiles. And right now, her words are landing heavier than any touchdown pass or chart-topping single. This saga proves one thing. In the court of public opinion, the ex doesn't always fade into the background. Sometimes she steals the scene. And as the engagement hype continues, you better believe Kayla's shade, her standards, and her sharp takes will keep shaking the culture in ways Travis and Taylor never saw coming. And trust, this story is far from over. If you want every twist, every clapback, and every shocking reveal the second it drops, you already know where to be, right here with BarzBuzz, where the real tea never sleeps.